Alright, video entry 2. Two things I just want to record. Number one is a pair of screenshots from a match that I just played. I know a lot of people rip on Luminarch Aspirant for not being great, but I just played against Maverick, and in this matchup, my Luminarch Aspirant allowed me to beat a Hex Drinker, a Knight of the Reliquary, two Plague Engineers. And it was basically the only card that could have done that. So when the first Plague Engineer came down, I had already put a counter on a Luminarch Aspirant to protect it, and I had already put a counter on one of my two Spirit of the Labyrinths to protect it. So my opponent named Spirit and got one Spirit of the Labyrinth for its trouble, and this kept it from being on human. The later one went on human, and as you can see based on this board, that did not do anything. So with the way that this game was set up, I was able to deal exactly lethal in the air, despite how stalled the ground was because of the counters put on by Luminarch Aspirant. And then in the following game, I played an early Luminarch Aspirant after my opponent stumbled, and I just killed them. So this is turn 7, which is a relatively early kill for a D&T versus Maverick match. Those usually just drag on and on and on. But I wastelanded my opponent once at the beginning, Swords to Plowshares, a couple of creatures, and then I just got in there and just absolutely wrecked things with Luminarch Aspirant. So that card continues to be good for me. Been talking with Daryl Ayers about D&T, summarizing some of our conversation. He likes Spirit of the Labyrinth main deck. He likes the 2. He's not as hot on Aspirant as I am. He says he found that it didn't do a ton. It was good when it was unchecked and could get big, but I felt like I was really lacking in hate bear effects. He's not super hot on Skyclave Apparition. He thinks it's okay, but not a 4 of like I do in the 75. He added Jailer back in, claiming that the control matchups are very controlish, and he's keeping Swords to Plowshares in for Coatl so that Jailer can take over the game. I still think that strategy is very risky, but I can understand wanting to play that way. He said Gideon isn't that great. He's not sure how necessary it is, with more ways for removing opposing permanents, such as with Apparition. And that Sword of Feast and Famine is mediocre. He would almost consider a Sword of Body and Mind if he wanted another sword. He just felt like it didn't line up well. He's considering Cataclysm as a 1 or 2 of for a late game card still, despite the fact that it's a little awkward with Skyclave Apparition. He wants a Prelate main for the lands matchup specifically. He also thinks Jailer is good there. He's of the opinion that Damping Sphere could be a playable sideboard card. I've never really liked that one. I just felt like it doesn't do enough anywhere, and that it's often not worth the tempo loss to play it. He has gone up to a 3rd Deafening Silence, because getting to turn 2 is so important. That's not surprising to me. I was playing Mind Break Traps for a similar reason in my league play. He has gone to a 25th land to sneak a Mishra's Factory into the deck list for the control matchup. I don't get to rehydrate. I'll finish this short video then. Okay, he's torn between 2 and 3 Caracas because it's so hard to quantify the difference between running 2 and 3. He likes having the 3rd Caracas because with Spirit of the Labyrinth and Caracas, like Uro is no longer a problem anymore, and it's really good versus the Grizzlebrand type stuff. It's also relevant that Oko can Elk Jitte in game 1 while that's still in the deck, and you can bounce it to reset it. Um, Fun factoid that has been making its way around Twitter today. If you play against Oops All Spells or another deck that has spell lands, you can Flicker Wisp those lands out and they don't come back since it's a spell on the front side. It tries to return as a spell to the battlefield, and then it just like hangs out in exile forever. He is also considering Pithing Needle and Walking Ballista in the sideboard. Space is tight though, but Needle is a good 1 mana answer to darn near everything, and Ballista is good for the mirror and things like Esper Vial. Okay, so there's kind of my second random vomiting of ideas and such as I'm going through testing. I think a lot of what Daryl says is like very wise and very well reasoned. Um, the 25th land is good. I think if you're playing the 25th land, you want to play probably 2 Horizon Canopies or equivalent, and then 1 Factory, because you're losing out on a threat to put that land into the deck. Um, I'm just not willing to drop Aspirant from the 75. I just think it's too strong at snowballing games in your favor. So I don't really feel like I have anything to cut from the main deck. I'm just like very, very happy with my main deck numbers right now, so I don't know that I'm going to make any changes. But he might be right about Gideon, and I've been talking to XJ Cloud a little bit about trying Armageddon in the Gideon slot. Maybe I should just do that as a different way to close the snow matchup. Alright, more thoughts later.